Have you ever wondered how voices like Pico's are done? Or maybe you're looking for a voice closer to Darnell's. Well, I'm going to be showing you how to do that today. In the Funkin community, these types of voices are often referred to as atonals. What this essentially means is that there's no clear note or key in mind when you do these. They're just sounds, and they can fit with pretty much anything. So now I'm going to show you how to record atonals, what effects to use, and how to use them. Here we go. So the process for recording for atonals is pretty similar to how you would record a chromatic, in that you can use the standard vowel sounds, the A, E, I, O, U, that kind of thing. But a great thing about atonals is that you're not constricted to just using vowel sounds. You can record pretty much anything you want.
Wa, I, do, da, be, go, yeah, day, go.
Another difference between atonals and chromatics is that while for chromatics you record your samples a lot longer, for atonals your samples are a lot quicker and to the point. You can have some longer samples in there, but I personally wouldn't add too many, as sometimes they can sound a bit wonky when they're played in context with the rest of your samples. Another quick thing to note about atonals. In my chromatic tutorial, I forgot to mention it in the video, but the pinned comment adds an extra tip. I know that it's a good idea to chop off the beginning and end of your vowel samples just so that it sounds a bit more punchier. This only halfway applies here. For atonals, you can chop off a little bit of the beginning, but leave the end alone. Leaving this tail end in your samples makes it sound more natural and adds a touch of realism to it. And for a bit more added realism, you can add some breathing samples in there too. But if you don't want to go through the trouble of recording a bunch of different samples for atonals, that's fine. A way you can cheat this is just by going to Pico's songs and just copying what he does. Now for your effects. One of the things that's most notable about Pico's voice is his filter. This effect is achieved through frequency shifting. When it comes to atonals, a plugin that I see a lot of people use for frequency shifting is the Full Bucket Frequency Shifter. Now, this is a good plugin, but one of the major drawbacks to it is that it only has preset amounts and you can't type in your own parameters. So if you want to get more creative with your frequency shifting, I would recommend either the frequency shifter plugins from either Kilohertz or Melda Audio, both of which are free. If you want your voice to sound closer to Pico's, you should shift the frequency to 364 Hz. For Darnell, it's a bit more tricky because I can't tell whether or not he has frequency shifting on his voice or if Ivan Almighty is just built like that, but I would shift this into the negatives, maybe about -150. Another important thing to add to atonals is some compression. I personally like to do this through the OTT plugin. I personally like to use these settings here. Quick shout out to Biddle3 for coming up with these settings. There are other effects you can add as well, and honestly the frequency shifter isn't really a requirement because I've heard a lot of atonals that don't even use it. It all depends on you and your character. Now when it comes to using atonals, there are two ways you can do this. The first way is that you can chop out the samples and place them manually, but that's a lot more time consuming and honestly sometimes makes me want to shoot myself. And the second way, which is what I do most of the time, is just dropping it in SliceX. You can use dual auto slicing to slice up your atonal pretty quickly, but you should make sure that there aren't any unnecessary markers where there shouldn't be. And after everything's said and done, you should have something like this. Hey everybody, post-production Deuce here. Now normally this would be the part of the video where I just spout some random quote along with the thanks for watching text, but I want to be a bit more serious for a second. Currently at the time of me recording this audio, I am at 9.6k subscribers. And honestly, it's still kind of crazy seeing that. I can't thank you guys enough for getting me to where I am now. Being able to know that people actually like my work and also how much I've been able to help people even a little bit with these short little tutorials I make has been really uplifting for me. I'd also like to thank you all for the overwhelmingly positive support you guys have given Team TBD through the release of Doki Doki Takeover Plus. Seeing people's reaction to the mod and its soundtrack has meant the world to us, and even though we're done with Takeover now, TBD ain't done yet. So, with all that said, I'm gonna end this video off normally. This has been High Powered Keys, and remember to stay creative and stay powerful. See ya!